Hi and welcome. In this video, I will talk about hardware and system redundancies, and its prime objective is to ensure the availability of your information services. Now, once we talk about redundancy, then there are two kinds of redundancies. One is the data redundancy, and then is the system redundancy, which access this data. Now, the data redundancy, we have two options that depends upon the recovery window we have. So if we have a certain kind of recovery window, then we can use this backup mechanisms. And if we do not have this recovery window, then we use RAID or redundant array of independent disks, which I have already discussed in one of my videos, for which I will put in the links in the description. Now, once we talk about system redundancy, then there is a system redundancy and then it's a component redundancy. And we have different options for each of these redundancies. So there is a cost associated depending upon the option, and this cost can vary depending upon the recovery window we have. So we select an option depending upon the recovery window, and then there is this cost associated with our option. So first of all, I will talk about component redundancy. Now this, if we have, for example, very low recovery window, then we can use internal components in a redundant manner. That is redundant power supply, network interface card, or disk controller. And this is most costly option for component redundancy. Second option is to use the spares, for example, spares of all systems in of your data center in a store. And once or upon failure of any component, we replace this component from the spares available in our stores. And the third option, which is the cheapest, is to not have any internal component redundancy or any spares in your stores, but to have procurement SLAs or service level agreement with the vendor, and vendor is obliged to provide you the spares in case of any failure of your component. So this is the cheapest option. Then we come over to this system redundancy, which is also known as high availability cluster or HA cluster. So there are two options. First is the active-active. It means that the primary system and the secondary system both are in actively processing the data, and this is also known as load balancing, that they are balancing the processing load of each other. So in case of any failure of one system, the other system start processing the load of other system. Second option is the active passive. It means that one system is primary and other is the secondary, and secondary system is in standby mode, and it is not processing the data, but it is getting the heartbeat from the primary system. And in case of any failure, this heartbeat gets stopped, and then this passive system starts processing the data or the services of active system, and active system obviously gets faulty. So active system is no more active and passive system becomes active, and it is also known as failing over to the passive system. And this failing over is done automatically without involving human intervention, and if there is a kind of human intervention, then it is called switching over. And this migration is actually related to the virtualization. It means that the virtual machine moves to other physical system in case of any interruption. So actually they have separated the physical systems from this switching over or failing over. And then failback is after you repair the original system or the primary system, then this primary system again starts processing the data, and this passive system, which was active for the duration of this failure, again becomes in a standby mode or in passive mode. So this was all from my side. Please stay connected to my channel for similar videos. Thank you.